Ladies and gents, without further ado, I'm going to obviously pass over to our first presenter, Peggy Anne Salz, lead analyst and founder of Mobile Grove, journalist and writer. Peggy Anne is one of the most influential and compelling speakers in the mobile market space. I cannot wait for Peggy Anne's presentation. She is 9-time author, frequent Forbes contributor, and guest contributor of a variety of leading outlets, including Harvard Business Review, VentureBeat, many others, where she shares her insights on mobile marketing, mobile apps, customer engagement, and business innovation. Peggy Anne, I cannot wait for this. And I'm going to pass the floor over to the beautiful Peggy Anne. The floor is yours.
David, wow, what an introduction. You've got high energy. Now I've got it. It's contagious. It really is. So I'm just going to get into the discussion. Yes, you introduced me as someone in the industry, but hey, I also am connecting and bonding with the marketers out there. A highlight of my year was attending and speaking at several events, including yours. I've done a few, but also looking at the opportunities in the metaverse, where I also bonded with Kelly Vero in the shot here in the pic, futurist, games developer, architect of the metaverse. Super cool person, great person as well. But interestingly as well for our audience, perhaps, editor-in-chief of MetaCrunch, a new publication revolutionizing the way we think about Web3 and building a community of people who will pave the way to that future of the metaverse. So yes, I am a people person. I love authenticity, a little eccentric. So hey, everyone out there, an opportunity to connect with you is something I also want to have. So do reach out to me here in chat, but also afterwards, because that's what it's about. To give David his credit, it's about sharing, it's about teaching, educating. That's why I'm here. So let's just talk about what's coming. First of all, high five, of course, to SplitMetrics for bringing us all together to give us a holistic view of marketing challenges and opportunities. I have both in my presentation based on my research and my upcoming book also on mobile. But first, a hat tip to Saikala Sultanova, because during a recent interview with me on The Hive, she opened my eyes and inspired me to put together this presentation in a way, but also the angle, which I think is really important because it's about helping marketers reframe how they view and pursue their audience in a post-privacy world. And me, the clip says it all. I'm going to give it over to Lydia. Play the clip.
Environment has changed and there's no going back. And being strong marketeers, we need to change too. And that means, it's an opportunity to change, but it's also opportunity to create something new. And that means maybe for some creating new KPIs, maybe for some others, creating new ways of calculation and measurement. I personally like change because that's what keeps me interested and that's what keeps me in this industry for 11 years now. So I like that. That's good. And we'll figure things out along the way.
Awesome. And that's exactly it. We will figure out things along the way. And that's what we're going to be doing today, looking at those questions. What is at the core of the value exchange for you as marketers with your users? How do you deal with incomplete data sets? How do you rise above the noise? Well, big questions. And here are my 6 megatrends that are what I see in the industry and what you need to be factoring in as you seek to answer those questions and get those answers that are right for your app and business. So I have 6 of them. We're going to go through them, and I take this very seriously. Even have a timer. We are going to be on time. Buzz through this. If it sounds a little bit like late night and you're saying, hey, I want to know more, that's what chat's for. That's what I'm for, to reach out to me as well. So with that, let's do it. Mobile is the remote control of our lives. I don't think that this is like hugely new to anyone out there, but you have to let it sink in. What does that mean? What does it really mean? So I've been in the industry for 20 years. And in 2005, we started to really understand this when a cultural anthropologist, Mizuko Ito, first observed that mobile is personal, portable, and pedestrian. Big deal back then, milestone book. Personal, because we regard mobile as an extension of ourself. Portable, because we have it with us at all times. Pedestrian, because it's part of our life as it happens. It's the way we record our lives. It's the way we live our lives. It's actually the way we experience it. We're not there. We're always, recording behind a camera. The point is that these habits were exponentially increased in lockdown, adding a whole new dimension. I mean, here we are, we're out of lockdown, but those behaviors, they stay, and we will not unlearn them anytime soon. So what does that mean? It means mobile is the remote control of our lives and the gateways to us as individuals. We rely on mobile for assistance, advice, much more. We rely on it. It's a driving force in decision-making. It's the way we enhance our lives, interact with the outside world, way we connect with people. Mobile first, digital always. As I said, the pandemic has accelerated these behaviors, placed mobile messaging, marketing, in particular, two-way conversations at the center of the capabilities marketers need to cultivate and how they provide value. Not at the moment of use, but at the moment of inspiration. That's something very different. That means that to be there present inside the app, outside the app, across other channels. Again, just a very important point to keep in mind. You are not just the source of an app marketing experience, you're the source of advice, assistance, and a lot more. So it's sort of like the Avengers, right? With great power comes great responsibility, maybe you could say. Number two, consumers crave journeys, not experiences. Now, in my work, I have interviewed over 100 marketers just in this year, probably thousands in my career. And so I'm watching the marketing trends from a practical standpoint, but also from the user standpoint. So consumer first, person first, but also looking at what marketers need to be doing. Now, consumers have come to rely on brands and businesses, as I said, for advice and assistance, but also, interestingly, for companionship and leadership, not just in these times, but in all times. And when I say leadership, it's interesting, the studies that I've read, some of the research I've done firsthand, and also reality checks with marketers, that users, consumers look to you even more than political parties. And maybe these days that's not amazing, seeing the election landscape in the States, but I won't go there, I won't go there. But you are an entity that they look to. And so there are different stages in this journey, but it's not experiences. So if you're thinking it's a one-off experience, no, it's more like a social contract in a way. There is, in addition to just, awareness and consideration and what you think of as that linear path, there's also education, customer education. Watch it. It's going to be very, very important, because that's a great way to interact, a great way to build a relationship, a great way to ease someone perhaps into the value proposition of your subscription app. My point is that the pressure is on marketers, maybe not the pressure, the opportunity is there for you to build a digital path and a personality that consumers can depend on every step of their daily journey. This means shaping and sequencing all digital interactions and marketing touch points, including, but not only, messaging, emails, push notifications, to guide consumers to positive outcomes. Number three, this is a really interesting one, because as I said, I talk to a lot of marketers, and we are in a position now where data can only tell you so much. And a lot of them are, let's put it this way, you're seeing a comeback of a very straightforward way to go to the source. So if data can only tell you so much, for the rest, you go to the source. The outcome is an increase in two-way exchanges to get to the truth. And guess what? It's knowing is always going to beat guessing every time. So you're seeing, and you'll see more of marketers deploying surveys and similar tools to find out precisely what customers love and hate in their apps. Or even I was talking the other day to Feature, Andy Carvel. He's like, get on the phone with your users, even find out what are they willing to pay? What is the prize that they're after? What would they consider to be value? And asking them straight out. Now, granted, there's issues about when and where to ask. You don't just stick it in there like a bolted on bit at the end. It has to be natural, a little bit like this presentation right now. You're chatting, I see that. You're asking questions, it's natural, it's seamless, it's baked into the messaging, sort of like a would you mind? And at the right point, not those questionnaires we're getting that we want to get something done. And that's like, how are you enjoying the app? It's like, well, I'll tell you later after I get this stuff done. Don't bother me with that now. So just asking, it's an old approach with new mileage, new legs, and new possibilities. And marketers will have to also learn how to conduct conversations that thankfully inform their marketing, but also product. Because remember, you're asking people, what do you like about the app? What don't you like about the app? One is it's going to inform your advertising, your marketing, your messaging. If you're really good and set up for it, and you have your teams in place as you should in 2023, well, pass that over to product, because what they like about your product has to be reflected in your marketing. What they don't like about your product, you need to fix, and they need to know that. So it's all these communications channels, gaining customer insights, and from the source, that will be gold. Moving on to number 4, big one. That subscription app marketers out there, listen in, this is about you, because this is fitness. This is life management. I call life management apps, things like fintech. You might not call them that, but if we're relying on these apps to manage an aspect of our lives, that is a life management app. And these are the apps, as I said before, you're relying on them for a number of reasons: assistance, decision-making, help, and just knowing that you can plan your future, fitness, what have you, with this app as your partner, right? So what is happening? Well, for one thing, we rely on them so much that I'm going to borrow now from Seth Godin, who is the man. His idea in permission marketing was the more you do something, the more familiar you are with it, the more you're going to trust it. Put in a nutshell, frequency and familiarity build trust. Okay. Now, this is a two-way exchange, and brands and businesses basically, when they're in this position, so the subscription app that I'm relying on for a lot of things, fitness apps I'm relying on for a lot of things, fintech, e-commerce, maybe not so much, but hey, this is your opportunity. Offer me advice around my purchases. Do something that I need to rely on you. And I'm going to tell you where I come with the POS. So POS stands for Personal Operating System. Prepare to become a personal operating system. Now, I won't take the credit for this. I actually got from E&Y, and they bring up the idea that the more I rely on you, the more I'm going to also use you as a part of my life. You become my personal operating system. And by harnessing this paradigm, taking responsibility, this frequent interaction that builds trust, what you can do as marketers is you can unbundle and bundle products, personalize them, and create holistic value propositions based on real life events. In a way, it's almost like the quantified self, but you have the opportunity to insert yourself in such a way into my daily routine that I would not dream of deleting you, because you have become my personal operating system. I rely on you. So what is this? This is an opportunity to create a strategy that makes you essential. And through these frequent interactions, messaging, new updates to your app, etc., you can become, or you should strive to become, one of the apps I rely on at every turn. Number 5, demographics are dead. Sounds pretty radical, is an interesting concept, and it is not just radical, it's realistic. You are connecting with your customers now on a truly personalized level, one that drives trust, as I said before, and ultimately about high LTV, about delivering value that people are willing to pay for, or at least stick around for. So how do you know you are delivering value? And how do you know you can turn value into a business metric, as you should, that you can factor into how you acquire users, how you do A/B testing of ad creatives, or how you just respond to users' feedback in a way that shows you know and care about what they're saying? Well, now we have another data set to consider. The Value Graphics Project has surveyed 750,000 people worldwide to create what they call, and I'll quote, the first global inventory of what everybody on Earth actually cares about, what our shared core human values are. If you're in the gaming space, this sounds a little bit familiar to sort of player motivations, but this is global and this is not just gamers. And what you're seeing is a new data set that marketers, CPG in particular, so marketers, not yet so much mobile marketers, but that's the point. This mega trend is coming, this will change. Marketers are using this to sort of layer over demographics and psychographics. I'm not saying it's dead, I'm just saying it's no longer by itself. Think of it as a three-legged stool in a way. You have demographics to know who your audience is. You have psychographics to understand behavior. You have value graphics to understand shared core human values and layer that over that to create data-driven personas for any target audience. It's about enabling rich conversations. It's also allowing marketers to treat consumers as individuals. And more importantly, it's allowing marketers to engage with users effectively, even without user level data. So it's another one of those data sets you can think about. And if you're wondering about personalization, yes, well, it's the norm now, thanks to Netflix and all the other companies, the Spotifys, et cetera, that excel at personalization, keeping users coming back for more and creating the demand, the expectation, the understanding that we're going to treat people as individuals anyway. So this is another data set to layer on to do that. A little bit of a shameless plug. I've read the book. I've done a Forbes article about it. I've done a podcast about it. I think it's very exciting. And there you go. David Allison, the man behind Value Graphics. His new book is about to launch on November 29th. And as the title makes clear, it's about replacing demographic stereotypes with values-driven ways of looking at people. And I think it's worth a look as well, because it's how they speak to you in social, the reviews they leave on your app, the actions in the app, all of this make up the digital app breadcrumb trail, I'll call it, to follow and figure out what works. And there, I'm going to just take a quick question because people are excited about this, I guess, nearly as excited as I am. Demographics will be utilized effectively in a loyalty-based e-commerce app. Okay. Well, how that would be was because understanding what people value will help you use that to keep them loyal. And it's, for example, I'll just give one. What I'm talking about here is values is, for example, we are all united. One of the top values is the feeling of belonging. Maybe again, not rocket science, but we have data to show it. And understanding that people want to belong, then maybe for your e-commerce loyalty program, it would be belonging to a group of people who get certain information before other people, or being in sort of a tribe around certain brands or certain offers. I'd love to take that question, Adam. I'd like to take it offline even because I can't use up my time, but I do have some ideas. So if you want to think about how you can apply demographics, rather value graphics to your e-commerce app and think of a loyalty program, we can take that offline as well. Going to get through this because the questions are piling up, which is really exciting, but I got to get on to number 6 and I'll do it really quickly. Cookieless world brings a new recipe for engagement. What do I mean by this? Well, you have an opportunity, well, you have a responsibility to engage in a more appropriate and meaningful way. Interestingly enough, I was speaking with McKinsey and Adam Breutman over there, and they brought it to my attention that marketing in a privacy-first world is less of a reckoning and, quote, more of a reimagination that compels marketers to foster what McKinsey calls transparent, permission-based relationships with their customers. In practice, what this means is that there is an opportunity for some marketers, I think all marketers, make this one of your spaces, and you can, to inform your customers about what you're doing with the data, right? It's data relationship management is the word, and there you can be messaging and be upfront and say, hey, this is what we're doing, and this is the value, and this is the exchange. What I'm saying here is that you have these components. You invite someone to the conversation, you have a data dialogue, you tell them about your data value proposition. What this allows you to do is to increase engagement by informing me more about what you're doing and how you're being a good steward with my personal data. So again, just an opportunity to connect at a different level that I don't think many marketers have thought of. But in between all the selling, there's got to be some serving. And this is part of the serving. This is telling me how you are managing data in a very upfront and open way. Because guess what? When I understand that, I understand the value exchange. I might give you more data because I understand what I'm getting for it. And also we're building trust. And with that, I do want to get to questions. But first, I started with a clip from Psychala Sultanova explaining how I got the idea and the inspiration to bring you a positive view of megatrends. It's not all doom and gloom. We will figure it out. We simply have to understand and grasp the opportunity. So now I'm going to end with another marketer, Tanasi, who told me during a podcast that I co-host with John Kutzier about the importance of knowledge to him personally and to all marketers. And this is one of the reasons that I'm here. And I'm also touched truly to know the difference it makes. So listen in to how Tanasi sees it.
It's no secret to say that you can find a lot of information on user acquisition out there, whether it's different podcasts like this one or other just articles, right? Peggy, God knows there's a lot. If someone just searched your name in the Google search bar and read every single one of the articles that you have written, they would be way further ahead than I was when I started in this space. And I think that access to information is alone a really, really huge thing that is available to people that are looking to break into this industry. I would say the second of which, though, are events and chat rooms that you could sort of bump shoulders with industry professionals that aren't available in a lot of other industries.
And that brings us back to where we are here right now. I've shared what I know. You're at an event. He said events is where you also have to go to bump shoulders. We're doing that virtually to connect. He recognizes that. And I recognize you. You're here. You took the time out. Thanks for being here. If there's anything I covered and you're like, whoa, that went way too fast for me, well, then reach out to me because you can find me. Well, let me just show you where you can find me. There you go. Peggy at mobilegroove.com. So back to Q&A. Or so many questions here. I love it. That shows that you are as excited as I am. All right, David, do you want to dive in here with me?
Yeah, I'm coming in here, Peggy.
There's a ton of them.
I'm back in. Now, do you know what, Peggy? We have a couple here. So let's go to
it.
That we have, yeah. So referring to your point number 2, is brand awareness the key to success of mobile brands today?
Ooh, it's decisive. It's maybe not the key, but the marketers I'm speaking with and the interest in brand and building a brand and turning, a portfolio of apps into a brand, very important because remember, tons of research out there now showing that you don't search, and we'll hear about that later when we hear about search ads, right? But you're not searching necessarily for categories. You're searching also a lot for brands. You don't say, hey, I want a fitness app. You say, hey, I want, Fastic for fasting, or Noom for fitness, or Spotify for streaming. Not trying to diss anyone who's not got those names, those brand names. But yeah, I think it's very important to build, and I think it's very important to maintain. And maintaining it, again, is the journey, not just the one-off experience.
Great, Peggy. Thank you very much. Couple of more questions here. We'll go through them. What channels, in your opinion, work best when it comes to getting customer feedback for mobile users in particular? It's from Victoria.
I did some research into fintech apps. It's very interesting that email works really well for fintech apps, probably because the value proposition is so complex. You're saying invest in this, or, do something in some sort of financial product. So email works well there. Another point, as I said, ask and watch. So you're going to see a lot of feedback. So sentiment analysis of social is not a bad idea. And also watching and mining the wealth in the reviews as well. People are going to tell you, I like this, I don't like that. Answer those reviews as near to real time as you can, so that people know that you're really paying attention. But of course, push, in-app notifications, really good. They're in your app, they're already there. So it makes sense in that moment, in that mobile moment, that inspirational moment, to interact that way. All the channels work, I would say, and even a couple that you wouldn't imagine. I'm seeing a ton of interest in audio marketing, radio, podcast, television. So I would say at this point in time, we're looking at them all, and you have to find the one that works for your app as well. But the good news is there's lots more than the usual suspects.
Great, Peggy. Great insights. Two more questions. We have got a couple of more minutes, so two more questions.
Okay.
What is your favorite app you use most often every day? Your favorite?
Oh, I'm a music person. It's Spotify. I use it all the time, discover all the cool new bands. I'm really into indie and alternative. I started listening to Grit. And I would not be possible if it wasn't for Spotify. Yeah, someone out there, Spotify. Yes. No, it makes my day. Getting better at the recommendations. But guys, if you're listening, work on it.
Last question. Interesting one. You mentioned Avengers. Who's your favorite superhero and why, Peggy?
Oh, it's always been Batman.
Yeah,
always been Batman, because it's dark, but it's still good.
Definitely, me too.
Fair. There's a goth side of me, David. So
I wouldn't think of Peggy, not at all.
Hell no.
Peggy, listen, thank you very, very much. I love the presentation. Thank you so much for the time today. We are very, very grateful to have you. And let's go, guys and girls. Just one more round of applause for the amazing Peggy in the chat. Let's go, Peggy. Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. And guys, do reach out. I answer. It's real. Oh, I love it. Little heart.